Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull. And in today's video, we'll just be covering a couple of notes, from this past week with Tennessee football. So, number one, I know that some of y'all saw this list, but these are our 22 January enrollees, okay? And the two that you see in black, those are preferred walk-ons. So, that's a great looking list, okay? There's a whole lot of studs on that list. There's some dogs on there. And I think that most of those guys will be able to help this team out in 2024. Okay, I would say maybe close to half of them. Definitely all those transfer players and some of those freshmen as well. They're gonna help contribute to this team a lot in 24. So I think that our roster looks great outside of left guard. Now we could maybe upgrade right there. We've talked about that several times. Jackson Lampley is a guy that I actually love, man. I love his passion, and I know that he's gonna put that work in. Hopefully he can win that spot, but we were wondering who could we bring in just in case he doesn't win it out. And we're looking at Big Nate Dogg up there in Washington. And we were speculating, hey, is he going to go to Miami? Is he going to Alabama with his old coach? Well, it looks like Lane Kiffin snuck him and his teammate, Julius Buelow, in on a visit on Monday and Tuesday, and they have both since chose Ole Miss. So this kind of feels like Lane Kiffin is trolling us all the time, man. He knows that we were looking for a guard and that, Big Nate Dogg was the best one that was left. So he goes out and somehow he's able to pull him in. Now, we already know that Lane Kiffin was able to pull in Mr. Pounds from North Carolina, who was one of the best offensive tackles in the transfer portal. And he also pulled in Jerquan Scott, who is an offensive guard from Southern Miss. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out right there. Obviously, he's bringing in what, 4 or 5 new offensive linemen. Okay, so he's pretty much going to have a whole new starting offensive line, but he brought in 3 guards. So maybe one of those guards will end up moving to tackle. Okay, again, it just kind of seems like he did that so that Tennessee couldn't get those players. But it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with that team, man. He's got so many new players that he got from that transfer portal. Are they going to gel well? Okay, when things start to go wrong, are they going to be able to fight together, or are they going to start, going at each other's throats? That's kind of what I think is going to happen. So will they be a playoff team? They probably have the roster to be one, but I mean, there's a whole lot to be said about being a team, right? It's not just about having great players. They have to be able to play as a team. Guys have to be friends. I mean, you have to be close. Guys have to be brothers. Or, you have to have a lot more than just really good players. And I just don't think that it's easy to do that, bringing in so many fresh faces. So again, man, I think that that's going to be really interesting. But, I am expecting for Tennessee to be a playoff team, and bold prediction early on, I think the Ole Miss is going to be on the outside looking in. All right, and speaking of the offensive line, Tennessee's working that 25 class hard. We know about the 2 blue chip tackles that's at the top of Tennessee's list, and David Sanders and Juan Gaston. So number one with David Sanders, we already know that he's really close with GMAC, and he's got Tennessee in his top 3, along with Clemson and Georgia. So both of these 2 players missed our junior day, so it's going to be a really big deal for us to get them back on campus sometime soon. And it sounds like David Sanders is planning on coming back to campus probably sometime in March. Okay, so we'll keep a close eye out on that. And it also sounds like with Juan Gaston, who's 6'7", 335 pounds. Okay, he's the number 10 rated offensive tackle in this class. He's from Westlake High School, and it sounds like he's trying to get back up to Tennessee within the next couple of weeks, and he also wants to visit again in the spring. So that's a good look, man. I mean, he's planning several visits, and he's a guy that I've heard some of the insiders say he's kind of been trending to Tennessee. Okay, he has liked Tennessee for quite some time. So we're in a great position with maybe, our 2 tackles of the future. It would be beautiful if we could close out on both of these guys. And again, man, I think Tennessee's in a really, really good spot right now. All right, and our staff has been hard at work out there on the road, checking in on all of our top prospects. Number one guy that we need to talk about that they stopped in to visit is Kelvion Riggins. He's a 4-star linebacker, 6'1", 210 pounds, out of Texas, rated as a number 28 linebacker overall. Watched his film. He's a dog. He's a stud. He's one of those guys. He actually puts me in the mind of like an Al Wilson. He plays with that type of passion, and he plays with that type of I'm going to try to knock you out type of stuff. So he is a guy that is kind of trending towards either Tennessee or Texas A&M, and he will be announcing tonight at 7 p.m. on the Dave Campbell Texas Football Channel on YouTube. So if y'all would like to check it out, that's where you can find it. So right now, the experts think that he is going to be going to Texas A&M. Sounds like he wants to stay close to home. But hey, man, you never know what's going to happen with these kids. Hopefully we can get some really big news tonight with a great linebacker that, I think is just going to increase what is already a really good linebacker room for Tennessee. Now, if we don't land Kelvion, all hope ain't lost, because there's some other studs out there that are trending towards Tennessee that could be just as good as Kelvion, if not better. All right, and the number one guy that I have on that list is Jaden Harmon. Is a 6'1", 215-pound linebacker out of Rome High School here in Georgia. He's actually rated as the number 19 overall linebacker, so he's rated more highly than Kelvion Riggins is. But y'all know that we don't put a whole lot of stock into that. I think it's kind of difficult to be able to tell, hey, who's, number 19 and who's number 28. I think there's a lot of politics that goes into that. But if you watch both of these guys film, you can tell that they're very similar players. And you can see maybe why Jaden Harmon is rated higher than Kelvion is. He's a really fast player, sideline to sideline, very similar player. But I do think that I would, just from watching this, I would give a slight edge to Jaden in pass coverage. I think that either one of these guys could play inside or outside linebacker for Tennessee. They're probably going to be playing somewhere around 230, 235 pounds, being able to maintain the same type of speed that they have right now. But Jaden is a guy that I've actually heard one of the experts say early on that, hey, if Tennessee turns up the steam on him, he's going to commit to Tennessee. Now, since then, it sounds like a lot of other schools have reached out to Jaden, and he's kind of slowed his process down some. But we should still be in a great spot with him. So I hope that the staff continues to put pressure on Jaden, because I would love to have either one of these guys, if not both of them. But it does sound like it's going to be difficult to get Kelvion. All right, and some of the other top prospects that the staff has already checked on this week, or will by the end of today, is Trey McNutt, Brandon Caesar, Phillip Bell, Marcus Harris, Naeem Alford, Jonte Gilbert, Ethan Utley, Jared Smith, Caleb Cunningham, Joakim Dotson, Tyler Miller, and several others. So it's good to know that the staff is out there, hard at work. And I do think that Tennessee's in a great spot with everyone on that list, number one. I think that we'll probably end up top 5 with every single one of those players. And I think that we'll end up closing on maybe, I would say, 25% of those guys. So that's a whole lot of blue chip players. And if we can close out on any more than that, we're talking about potentially a top 5 class. I think that this staff has just done a phenomenal job over the past, 3 seasons, going out and targeting positions of need, but also getting guys that are dogs. That's the biggest thing. Whenever you watch these guys film, every single one of them, they're all dogs. You can tell that they're passionate, and that's what got Tennessee a national championship back in the 90s, was a whole bunch of very passionate football players. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank y'all for sticking all the way to the end. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. And we'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.